May 19th, 2016 Board of Township Trustees Meeting, Anderson Township. Call the meeting to order. Motion to return to open session.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes. If you would please join us in the first thing we do every meeting is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Certainly nice to see a healthy audience here tonight, so thank you for coming. We're going to start with public hearing number 1. But before we do, Vicki, is there something you want to say about that?
Yes, good evening. The public hearing regarding the possible retire and rehire of our Public Works Director, Richard Shelley, just to give the board and the audience a little bit of background. The board has the authority to rehire employees who choose to retire under their current service. Mr. Shelley has completed approximately 31 years of public service with various entities. He has been with Anderson Township for, I want to say, 13 years. And essentially what he is requesting of the board would be to retire and start collecting his pension and then be rehired at a lesser rate, which saves the township over $12,000 per year. Under the proposed contract, his salary would be locked in unless there are material changes in his responsibility. So his salary would be locked in from June 6, 2016 through November 30th, 2018, which would result in a greater savings to the township. And during this contractual period, we would retain his creative skills and expertise, and he would help us set the future for the Public Works Department, whether that's a reconfigured department or to look at ways that we can find a successor for his position, or, as I said, a restructured department which would be more efficient and effective, although it is very efficient and effective as it is. So staff would recommend the rehire of Mr. Shelley. I understand there is an opportunity for public comment. Yes. I just wanted to weigh in prior to that.
Thank you, Vicki. So with that, this being a public hearing, if anyone has any comments, feel free to come forward and state your name, address, and address the board. Feel free to. Anyone at all? All right, with that, I will close the public hearing for number 1 for the rehire of Public Works Director Richard Shelley. Do I have a resolution from that?
I move to adopt a resolution rehiring Director of Public Works, Richard Shelley.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes. Okay, and tonight we also have another public hearing case, number 2. It is some miscellaneous text amendments to the Anderson Township zoning resolution. With that, we'll open the public hearing.
Thank you. The request tonight before the board is our miscellaneous text amendments, specifically to the E retail zoning section, which is Article 3.14B. Currently, in the retail zoning district, breweries and distilleries are prohibited, and the current zoning resolution doesn't distinguish between microbreweries and micro distilleries. We had several township businesses approach the township wanting to open a microbrewery or a micro distillery in the township, and as you know, there is a national trend and a local trend that this is very popular currently. So we researched surrounding communities in the region, City of Cincinnati, City of Covington, and other communities in the region, as well as nationally, and prepared text to allow the microbrewery and the microdistillery. As far as the history of this goes, the Board of Trustees initiated the text amendment on March the 17th, 2016. It was reviewed by Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission on April the 7th, and also by the Zoning Commission on April the 25th. Up on the board is the original document with red lines of recommendations from both Regional Planning and the Zoning Commission modifying some of the original text. So both the Regional Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval with these changes. Staff agrees with these changes as well. Again, in the actual text, it would be retail. The new text would read breweries and distilleries. It's differentiated between microbreweries and microdistilleries as defined in Article 6. And then the two definitions of a microbrewery, actually a definition of a brewery, a definition of a microdistillery, and a definition of a distillery. With that, that is the staff report. I'd be happy to answer any questions before public comment.
I don't have any. You guys have any questions for Paul?
No.
No, thank you, Paul. With that, if anyone has any public comments regarding this proposed text amendments, please feel free to come forward and address the board. Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing. Case number 2. I have a resolution.
I move to approve and adopt text amendments to the Anderson Township zoning resolution pertaining to microbreweries and microdistilleries.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Sorry. All right. With that, we're going to get to presentations and recognitions. Paul.
Thank you. Tonight it is my pleasure to announce the 2015-2016 Great Tree Awards. This is sponsored by our Anderson Township Street Tree Committee. This is an inaugural program to recognize trees in 4 different categories to really bring attention to the great trees that we have around the township and really the benefits of these trees. Some of you may drive by these on a daily basis and not really pay much attention to them, but we hope this program really raises awareness to the beauty of the township and the trees. So Ms. Stone is going to help hand out the awards. She's our trustee liaison to the Street Tree Committee. We also have some members of the Street Tree Committee here, Nancy Downs and Kim Cockenberg, I think. We accepted the awards over a period of a year, and the idea is to take a picture of the tree in each season. Since this was our first year, we didn't quite get a picture in each season of the trees, but we are accepting nominations for 2016 and 2017. So if you have or know of a beautiful tree in your property or in the township, please start taking pictures and submit them to us. The nomination forms are on the township's website. And we'll go through the 4 different awards here. So the first award is the Shade Tree Award. I'm not sure if they are here, but this particular tree is a black tupelo. It's located at 2517 8 Mile Road. Is someone here from this property? No? This tree in particular was nominated because it's unusual for this type of tree, a tupelo, to get this large and this type of trees that are most common in the township. So this picture was taken by John Winslow, who's a township resident. The property is actually the Breezy Acres Kennels that is located there on 8 Mile Road. So in the fall, it has a stunning red color, and hopefully next time you drive up and down 8 Mile, you recognize this tree. The next category is in the ornamental tree category. The owner here is Virginia Schaffner, and she is president. This property is located at 1980 Flintshire Court. This is a Sergeant crabapple. Typically, these trees only get 15 feet tall. This one in particular is 40 feet wide, which is very, very unusual for a flowering tree. So, would you like to say anything?
Actually, I would.
Okay.
Because of the short shelf life of this tree, you can't see it this year. If you didn't see it before mid-April, it's gone, but it blooms every year between tax day and Earth Day. And now that I have sign,
That's funny.
a real sign, is just my handwritten sign that I can put at the bottom of my driveway to say, come see my tree. Because it's in the backyard, and unless you know it's there, you miss it completely. But I welcome people coming to see it. I don't get alarmed when people I don't know are walking in my backyard, because I know they like to see my tree. And of course, some of you may have heard the story that every year when the tree is beautiful, I invite all my neighbors, and we have a tree party. So it's the only tree I know that has a party. So thank you for recognizing it. I'm very proud of it. I love it, and I would burn down my house before I would get rid of that tree.
So the next category are evergreen, and this particular evergreen trees. This property is the Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church located at 2710 Newtown Road. I think representatives from the church are here to accept the award, and maybe we can say something about the trees.
Your favorite church.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Bill Guffin, I'm the minister of the church, and I'm actually going to invite Connie Booth to say a little bit about the church.
Well, there used to be 3 of them, and we call them the sisters, because there were 3 sisters in our congregation around the time that these were planted. One of them got bagworms a big time ago, and never did make it back. So these trees are about 25 years old, and I think they are pretty handsome.
Thank you.
And last but not least, the 4th category is a tree grove. And a tree grove can be, in a private residence home just like this, or a grove out in an open space area. This particular property is at 7105 St. Edmunds Court. The property owners are Jason and Carolyn Sweatman, who I think are also present to accept this.
No, no.
Thank you, Tim, for nominating.
Just congratulations to all the winners, and again, we're accepting nominations for the next year. The awards are generally announced on Arbor Day, and presentations will be given out in May next year. Thank you.
The forms are on the website, so if somebody,
On the website, yes.
pretty neat. Good job. Okay, with that closes the presentation recognition section, but we'll go to public forum. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. We're not done yet. Denise Strecken, is she here? Come on up. Denise is the Anderson Township Public Library new manager, and she would like to introduce herself to us.
Well, good evening. My name is Denise Gretchen. I'm the newest employee at the Anderson Township branch, located at 7450 State. Phone number is 369-6030. And I just feel privileged to work in such a vibrant and engaged community, and privileged to be at this branch. I wanted to come and invite the community, let the residents know about a couple of upcoming important events, one of which is the Anderson Township Library Association Youth Book Sale. That's taking place June the 10th through the 12th at Naval Middle School. On Friday the 10th, the sale hours are from 10 to 8. And on Saturday the 11th, the sale hours are from 10 to 5. And on Sunday, the sale is from noon to 3, and the sale is quickly approaching its 36th annual sale. And I want to thank the community too as well for donating their materials. The ATLA members have been working very hard to go through all those donations and get them prepared for the sale. So I hope residents will come out and purchase materials. Those items, the proceeds from those items are given back to Anderson and Mount Washington libraries, and proceeds proceeds help to purchase books and materials, equipment, furniture, and provide money for programs. So a lot of the special programs that we have are a result of the Anderson Township Library Association. Also, our our summer learning program starts June 1st. That's our big kickoff, and it runs through July 31st. And I just wanted to encourage members of the community to come out and participate in that. We have lots of great programs. Our theme this year is Read, Make, Create. And a lot of the programs that we have will focus on STEAM, or science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And we give prizes. We give prizes to people who complete the program. And the first prize is always a book. And there are different levels. So all ages can participate. And the books, again, are from the Anderson Township Library Association. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, but thank you very much. I love the reading, the summer reading. It's important.
Now we get to public forum, and individuals who wish to address the board should make non-repetitive points as clearly and concise as possible, limiting their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Speakers are asked to state their name and address for the board. So come on up. I know that we have anyone come on up at any time.
My name is David Gelter. I live at 613 Asbury Road. I've lived in a township resident for 47 years. My wife Nadine served as a park board volunteer park commissioner for 19 years and was the first woman on the board. She did ask for reappointment in May and was whether there was 2 positions open. She was not reappointed. One new commissioner was appointed with the current board member, but also with the current board member reappointed. The reappointed commissioner has only attended 2/3 of the meetings since appointment and only 50% this year. Nadine attended 100% of the meetings this year, and for 19 years has attended over 95% of the meetings. Reappointments in the last year have raised many questions. Reappointments that should have been done in May of 2015 were not completed until December of 2015. Another long-term commissioner was also not appointed. By not reappointing 2 long-term volunteers, the park board lost 40 years worth of experience. During the past 19 years, the parks have undergone many changes. Riverside Park was developed after a lengthy process with solving riverbank issues. An all-weather field was built with lights, installed with lights. Diamonds were upgraded, soccer fields, and a lacrosse field was also completed. Johnson Park was obtained. Third Creek Park was also upgraded with the purchase of the driving range, improvements of property, and public golf course. Kellogg Park was developed with a dog park and a playground. Lavery Lane was upgraded. A working agreement was reached with Beach Acres Park. And land was purchased by the park board to develop to improve the ball diamonds, soccer fields, upgrade. A walking trail was also established. An amphitheater was built, and also a skateboard park. And as anyone's been to this park, they will see a tremendous use. This park is now a favorite of the residents and the site of the community party in July on his Anderson Days. These improvements are proof of the strong leadership of the board for the past 19 years, an excellent working relationship with the director, and all the hardworking members of the park board employees. We have one of the best park systems in the county and a source of pride for many residents. On April 14, 2016, the park board voted to put a levy on the ballot for the purchase of the Beach Acres Park. The park has had a long relationship with Beach Acres and has been using the indoor gym for many years. The idea to purchase the park was a realization of a dream of the park and a chance to address the need for indoor recreation space for this community. Over the next few months, the township, a couple of other township groups began pursuing the property. The school board and the township trustees had other ideas. Meeting at the time for the last year has been the park board commissioner. They had many meetings which included the executive director and his staff, school board, and trustees. Anderson Township's Park District's goal throughout this was to live up to their mission. Anderson Township Park District is dedicated to providing Anderson Township residents with quality parks, facilities, and programs. After many discussions, the school board plan was not feasible. The levy was withdrawn after negative publicity and pressure on some school board members. The township would then agree to purchase the property for future use. Then the trustees changed their mind and decided not to purchase. In the last years of discussions pursuant by other township groups, all were for naught. During the past few months, Nadine was shouted at and bullied by two of the trustees. I feel volunteers in our community should be treated with more professionalism. She did reapply for appointment and was rejected without explanation. Thank you, Mrs. Stone, for calling Nadine after the last trustee meeting and thanking her for her 19 years of service. It's obvious that the other trustees do not appreciate the hard work of a dedicated volunteer who spent the last 19 years of service to the community. I am very proud of my wife, and I'm also, as a longtime resident, wish to express my appreciation to her for her hard work and dedication to the Park Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
My name is Helen Merritt, I live at 7064 Montreal Lane, 45230, and a lifetime resident of Anderson Township. And we're on the same subject as David. I will repeat for the record that my Nadine Gelter is my sister. I cannot hide my disenchantment and disappointment of our trustee board. The attitude towards the residents and volunteers that have lived and served in this township is reprehensible. Anyone who happens to disagree with them and their intentions of our township land are publicly called liars and manipulators, and those are the only names I can repeat in this forum. As everyone in this room knows, the Park District entered into a purchase contract with Beach Acres. Under much duress, they were forced to rescind that contract. This summer, the trustees backed out of the assigned property purchase agreement with Beach Acres, which broke an election promise to the community of buying and holding the land for public purposes. Just 7 months ago, the trustee board requested the APD board assign their purchase contract for this property and rescind the capital levy on their ballot. Last November, all for the public good. The APD board complied. Yet this trustee board reneged on their promise to purchase the property, with the result of the entire community losing out on their own much-needed public indoor space and the added benefit of preserving our shared history of this heritage property. We do not know if this golden opportunity will ever present itself again. In January, you replaced Dale Bartholomew, a long and trusted member of the Anderson Township Park District. At your last meeting, you threw away another 19 years of park board experience by replacing Nadine, the first woman appointed to the park board and the first woman ever to serve as president of the park board. You voted for a combined loss of almost 40 years this year. I cannot but believe that these two situations are related, as the two long-time replaced commissioners have been the most vocal about expecting you to honor your promises in regard to the Beach Acres property. Nadine was the only park commissioner to vote no to rescind the park levy. So you see, if you disagree with the trustees' viewpoints, you are no longer useful to this community in their eyes, and all the time, talent, service, and money are regarded as nothing. In addition, there is now no one on the APD representing a significant part of our community, those over the age of 50, though the largest percentage of township residents are either close to or over the age of 50. Both of these longtime park servants, who are lifetime members of this, or residents of this township, were replaced with young males who are not. There is something to be said about loving the community enough to stay here your entire life, volunteering your time, money, and talent to make it a better place. And with only one woman on that board now, I don't believe it represents the makeup of Anderson Township's population. This is truly a very pathetic act on the part of our, quote, rookie trustees, quote, as they like to be called, and have called themselves. Hopefully at election time, we can voice our opinion of their, quote, service to our community, unquote.
Thank you.
Thanks, Helen.
Anyone else? With that, robotics team is here.
Go for it, guys.
This is the Anderson Township robotics team, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, guys? Yeah, good. In case people didn't know we have a robotics team, this is really cool. Of course, now we can't see it. That's okay. That's fine. Okay.
So robotics team in Anderson Township. We're based here in 8263 Little Harbor Drive, and we have 8 members on our team, 5 of which are from Anderson Township. So these are the 4 that are here. The other 4 weren't able to make it, so I'm going to start off by introducing them. So I'm Austin Mose. I'm a freshman at Turpin High School. This is John Mays. He's a freshman at Turpin High School. This is Andrew Mose. He's an 8th grader at Neckle Middle School. And this is Nick Norton, who's an 8th grader at Seven Hills Middle School. We're our robotics team. This is our first year competing, and we've made it to the World Championships this year. So we're just here to tell you what we do and how we did it. So John's going to start us off.
Hello, I'm John Mays, and I will be speaking to you about FIRST. FIRST is an international nonprofit organization that stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. It is the main goal of FIRST is to promote and encourage STEM learning and career opportunities. It plays a really important role in our lives, and FIRST is comprised of 4 leagues, which are FLL and FLL Junior, which are sort of the baby leagues. It goes from kindergarten to 6th grade, and then FTC, which is our league, and then FRC, which is the league above us. FLL is First Lego League, so they use Legos and those robotics parts to make their robots, and FTC is First Tech Challenge, and FRC is First Robotics Competition, and they all have specific challenges and obstacles to overcome designed by the First Game Design Committee. FIRST not only serves the purpose of teaching STEM, but it also serves to promote soft skills like communications. I'll be passing it on to Andrew, who will be talking about the specifics of FTC.
So, like John mentioned, FTC stands for First Tech Challenge, which is a competition for 7th through 12th graders to learn stuff about engineering and programming. And a new challenge for FTC is presented every September for over 6,000 teams around the world to compete for and hope to get to the World Championship like we did. And as you can imagine, FTC lets you learn lots of things, such as building, programming, engineering, and CAD. Also lets you learn lots of things about the world.
Hello, I'm Nick, and we're going to be talking to you guys more about our season as a team. We talked about FIRST and whatnot, but we haven't really talked about our season. So we started off by doing 3 qualifying, tournaments, and from there we advanced to the state level tournament where we got first place, and then we moved on to what they call the Super Regionals tournament, which is through 14 states, and we placed first in our division there, as well as second overall. And then we advanced on to the worldwide competition, which featured 128 teams from 39 different countries, and we were there representing Anderson Township, and we placed in the top 1% in the world.
Yeah.
Now we're going to address the elephant in the room.
That's not happening.
Where was the world competition?
St. Louis.
So you built that from scratch?
Yep.
So the competition, like they said, it's a new challenge is released every year. So this year, there was an entire field, but we just brought 1 of the bins and then 5 of the blocks. And the goal of the competition was to pick up blocks off the floor and then put them into bins on a metal structure. They called it a mountain, which it had an incline going about 30 degrees and then up to about 45 degrees. And then at the end of the match, you could also hang for more points. So there were many teams that would fully suspend their robot, and The competition obviously is very exciting and fun.
How long did it take you to build that?
So the competition is released in September, and the first regional competition is usually somewhere in between December and January. And then states will be in February, super regionals in March, and then worlds is in April.
And where did you build that?
In our basement.
Basements are good for a lot of things. And how much, if I can ask, what was your budget?
We spent $5,000, I think, this year. Funded entirely by.
And how many machines did you make?
Just this one, but for a new challenge every year, you've got to make a new robot.
We had several different iterations of this robot.
Yes.
So the next one won't cost $5,000.
We had several different iterations of this robot. We had to have one for our first competition, which was in December, and that one, it was clunky, but it wasn't really like this. This is our super functional, sort of over-revised robot. You want to go ahead and demonstrate, Andrew?
No way I could do this.
You got that
Yeah.
For example,
So as this is shown, the competition not only has you build and make your own robot, but you also have to troubleshoot it yourself. So when you've got a problem, you're the ones responsible for fixing it.
And you wrote the code, or how?
Yes.
You
So
did write the code?
We write the code in Java. None of our programmers are here today, but they spend countless hours programming it as the builders spend countless hours actually building it. So the competition, it also has, it's laid out in 30 seconds and then a 2-minute followed by a 30-second time period. So the first 30 seconds is all pre-programmed. So that's what the autonomous programmers mainly do. And this thing drives itself to complete a part of the challenge. So it drives across the field and dispenses little guys into a bin all by itself. And then later you get to the part where you can use controllers.
Wow. Well, I got to say, I'm not speaking for the full board here, but that is really cool.
Yeah, you are.
Congratulations.
So we're all going to go to engineering school undergrad?
Can I ask one final question? Like what, when you guys were building this, what was the worst thing that happened? Like did it catch fire or did it blow up? Did you break anything?
definitely YouTube connection
And it goes crazy? Okay. Cool.
Oh, you had an issue at state?
yeah, we had a few issues in different competitions with connection issues for the photos. And then at states especially, we had a match where, like, first few seconds, go. It's less than 5.
But I think, do you get points on how you handle those problems that come up too? No, you don't? Thank you very
I got
much.
to say, that is really impressive. I mean, you guys,
That is so cool.
you know, I played with Legos, so you really, and I thought I was doing good, but that's really impressive. So great job.
Thank you for sharing it with us.
Hey, one more round of applause for these guys. And I didn't ask, does the robot have a name?
We don't like to get attached to it, we have to take it apart.
I just kept thinking about Monty from The Big Bang Theory, remember the, yeah.
All right, well, that was, thank you for coming. Very neat. Okay, with that, we're going to get to trustee comments. Start off, D.
Yeah, actually, I do have a comment. I am the trustee representative on the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee, and the comprehensive plan is a plan that was originally put together in 2005. It's kind of the guidebook of what we want this township to look like. It's looking toward the future. And we are having a workshop on June 21st from 6 to 8 p.m. It'll be here at the Anderson Center. And the community residents are invited. We would love your input. Please help spread the word. I think there's cards out on the front desk, and you'll be seeing a lot more information about this in the paper and on social media. But please help spread the word. And all residents. I mean, we want input from older people, young people, whoever. Like, you guys. It's like, what do we want this place to look like? You guys are going to be the ones that are here in the next 20, 30 years. So, what do we want for the future Anderson Township? And on the back of the card is a frequently asked questions. So read these. It tells you exactly, what it's going to be doing. And it is 6 to 8, and it's one of those things you do need to be here for the whole 6 to 8 because we're going to divide into small groups. So that's it. Thank you. And I do want to acknowledge Nadine Geltner. She's been spoken about tonight. She did serve our community for many, many years, and she was a great volunteer for our community, and I hope she continues to be because she does have a lot to offer. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Thanks, Dee. Josh?
I would second that statement that Dee just made about Nadine. However, I wasn't going to say anything more, but since there was several false statements made during public comments, including accusations of bullying, which I take very seriously, I'm going to read a statement that I think, for those interested will shed a little light on the decision we made. As you may know, unlike the Board of Township Trustees and the Forest Hills Board of Education, whose members are elected by voters, Anderson Township Park Commissioners are appointed to their office. And when the Anderson Township Park District was created by the passage of a referendum in 1975, voters placed the responsibility of those appointments in the hands of the Board of Trustees. We take this responsibility very seriously, and we recognize the importance of the parks in our community and the need to have a park board comprised of individuals who represents the needs of the majority of our residents. Mr. Bartholomew, who was also mentioned in Ms. Gelter's service to Anderson and Anderson Township Park District, was and is valued. Dale's actually continuing to serve the community through the Anderson Township Veterans Memorial. Nadine is also continuing to serve on the Anderson Park Foundation, so she is still very much involved in the Park District and has not been tossed aside, as it was referenced earlier. As you mentioned, both did express an interest in being reappointed to commissioners, as did Mr. Turciano and Mr. Herking, but the board also wanted to make a concerted effort to reach out to others who may be interested in serving, because you see, folks, we as a board have to listen and understand and work with everybody in the township. And therefore, if other people would like to be on this board, we need to give people the chance to do that. And in fact, there have been dozens of people who've applied to be on the Park Commissioners Board in the last 20 years that Nadine and Dale have served. And, again, different than an election, Dale and Nadine have been appointed multiple times. Not, obviously, for some of the reasons that were pointed out this evening. That is also why we advertised for the 4 positions. That is also why this year, specifically this year, we made it a special meeting that all 4, Ken, were in the meetings with all the interviewees, because we felt it was very important for us to all have buy-in and look at all of the candidates across the board. This is the first time this has been done, I think? First time this has been done. That was not the case always in the past, and I can tell you, for the criticism that we may take tonight about removing or replacing them, I can tell you that there was much criticism in the past about nepotism, or not nepotism, but just continuing to put the same people on there. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're not. That's correct.
This year, we interviewed a number of very well-qualified residents, people who, yes, were younger, people with backgrounds in park and rec, really an incredible group of people. They represented a wide variety of interests, experience, perspectives on the role of the parks in the community, both now and, most importantly, in the future. This included determining the recreational needs of the township residents, exploring potential financial resources and revenue generators, and the need for a comprehensive plan which has not been done at the Anderson Township Park District. Similar to what Ms. Stone just revealed that we are doing at the township, where we're getting buy-in from all of the residents to craft how we want the future of the township to look. We want to do the same thing for the Anderson Township Park District. I say we because I am on the Anderson Township Park Board Foundation. After very careful consideration, we did reappoint Mr. Turchiano and Mr. Herking, and we did appoint Mr. Wolfer and Mr. Ramsey, because we did believe that they were the best suited and the most qualified for the considerable upcoming demands that will be placed on that board. Again, not the least of which is a very strategic, comprehensive plan. So it's our hope that this Park Commissioner Board will formulate that vision and include a financial plan for achieving that vision. And we believe that the people that are on that board now will do just that. And furthermore, if anyone, lest anyone thinks that this was some kind of personal vendetta, lest anyone thinks that this was done for political reasons, need I remind you that the decision made for Mr. Bartholomew was with another trustee who is no longer here. But the decision for Nadine was unanimous across this board, including D. Stone. The other thing I want to say, switching gears, is some of you, and I see Mr. Farmer's here, some of you may notice that the grass seems to be out of control, more so than it normally is, in some of the, what we like to call problem properties around Anderson. I know, I see them, and they're hard to miss because the grass is 3.5 feet tall. We addressed it a little bit at our last meeting, but I mean, it is, with all the rain and the weather that we've had, it does seem to be out of control. And I can tell you that our staff, and Barb is not here, but she is the renegade for this thing to try and hone in on these property owners and get them to take care of their property. We had a group here last month that was very upset with a neighbor of theirs who just continues to ignore. I know Mr. Farmer and I have a neighbor down the street that just continues to ignore, and it's very frustrating for this board and for all of this staff who would love nothing more than to be able to take care of it ourselves. Unfortunately, excuse me, as a limited governing body here in the Anderson Township, we just don't have a lot of resources and avenues to take. But I can promise you, with everything that we have up here on this board, we are doing what we can to address these problems. So, be patient, and please, we appreciate people calling and telling us that something has changed, that somebody's cut their grass, that something has popped up, because that does help us keep track of this. So that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. I was going to just address one thing about part of being on this board. Sometimes it is, and I've mentioned this before, it's a bit frustrating, and people have the right to view things that have happened in their perspective, but it's hard to hear misstatements, and I will just simply say that I don't agree with the statements that were made tonight regarding, it's easy to come up here and take your shots. I appreciate that, and that's why we're here. However, I will say that, as Josh said, after much interviewing, the vote was unanimous, and I will say it's frustrating when we are elected to represent all the people of Anderson Township. And I will simply say, without getting into specifics, when I hear complaints about the way a certain organization or board is being run, that I'm in charge of appointing the people to it, I have to be responsive to those complaints. So it is frustrating that some revision of history has gone on here tonight, and I know that I'm a member of this board, and I know that we didn't vote on any of the things, or some of the things that said that we promised or we were going to do this. I know that one of the trustees did, and he's no longer on this board. I'm not throwing him under the bus. I'm just saying that, as a board, we have to vote on things publicly for us to be said that we're going to do something. So I hope you keep that in mind when you revise your history or look back. And I know that emotion takes place, but, I was sitting here after one of the meetings, and one of the park, I'll say just a representative of the park board, or I don't know how I should say it without being too descriptive, but was cursing here in our chambers, yes, at myself and our administrator, and bringing up the name of the former trustee. And, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be treated like that. It's just not going to happen. That's not a professional way to do it. And so I will say that we did have our full board interviewed all the candidates, and it was the first time that was done. We asked a lot of questions, and it was simply clear that, you know, sometimes it's good to get some new perspective and some new blood. And actually, one of the candidates, I heard you mention something about the age of the residents, and one of our candidates was actually older than any of the other candidates, and his concern was his perspective was there wasn't enough being done for elderly residents with the parks. So that was interesting considering your comments. And one other thing I would say that I think Josh hit the nail on the head, that I think that now perhaps a long-term vision for the Parks Board is going to be something that helps all the residents of Anderson Township. And don't get me wrong, I love our parks, and I frequent them, and I have nothing but admiration for the job that those people do. It is an unpaid volunteer position. But I just don't think it's right to come up here and you can be frustrated and everything else, but to make misstatements and revise history is not constructive. That's my comments. With that, we'll close trustee comments and move on to Fiscal Officer Ken Dietz.
Thank you. We have the financial reports at the end of April. The expenditures are going as pretty much estimated. We do not have our final settlement from the Hamilton County Auditor as of yet. That is usually something we receive in early April. I assume they have a new computer system down there. They've kind of converted, and my calls to them are, we're trying to get the settlement report out to you. We do have most of our money that is due to us in that settlement, but we don't have the final numbers to work with. Plus, we do receive money from the state to the tune of over $1 million for both halves of the year, and that is being delayed at a time when interest rates are not what they were 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. That would be a tremendous concern, but as of now, we don't have that. We were not going to get that money for another couple months. We'll be probably at the end of the line for all the 88 counties in the state. So I just understand they're having computer problems and they can't get the line. Should we be first?
Yeah, we're Anderson.
Hey,
we're at the beginning.
The whole county is going to be last because all the other counties have their settlements in.
Got it.
And we do not. So I'm trying to find out what's going on down there. But that kind of distorts our end of April financial statements as far as revenues go and things like that. But the expenditures are in line. We do not have any appropriation changes, which is a good thing. And then the third item here, going back to 2008, was the last time that we had a public safety levy in Anderson Township. And that levy was planned for 5 years. Historically, when you put a levy on, you generate more revenue in the first couple years than you do expect expenditures to be, because that builds up a little bit of a balance in your funds, which we did. And that line crossed somewhere in the second or third year, but we were able to continue that for another 5 years. We did facilitate the public safety levy, which includes the sheriff and the fire and rescue department, last year by funding it with some of our TIF dollars, which we are permitted to do. We also are obligated at some point in time, and as soon as possible, to repay that TIF dollars, those TIF dollars. And we also decided to do that for this year, just so that we would prolong going out for a levy. But as you have before you tonight, you have a couple resolutions that we are asking the county auditor to certify what certain millages would generate in dollars for the township. We have a pretty good idea about what kind of dollars we're going to need over the next 5 years, and we're hoping that the county auditor can say the millage that you have asked us to certify is close to that. If it's not, we can also adjust what we're going to ask for and make those changes. I mean, the hope is that we're going to be close. But the truth of the matter is the revenues in 2009 were higher than the revenues in public safety than they are this year, or I should say 2015. The reason for that is we lost over $300,000 in tangible personal property taxes going back over several years. That adds up over a period of time. We lost deregulation revenues. We had a reappraisal that actually lowered property values because of the recession we went through, and that happened in the year 2011. And we also had properties that were overvalued, some of our high-profile properties were overvalued, which were reduced through the board revision process where the taxpayer can go in and say, you've valued my property too high, to the tens of millions of dollars, and those reductions took place. Some of that millage got rolled back up, which generated dollars in the next year, but we lost those dollars in that year. So what we're looking at is trying not to bury ourselves in a hole with the TIF money, and the resolutions that you have before you now are asking the county auditor to certify what certain millages would produce in dollars over 2017 through 2021. So that's what you have before you now, and we need your approval on those to send them down to the county auditor. Any questions?
I don't think so.
No.
Anything else? Vicki, do you want?
Just what we are putting together for the board, and the board's seen some of this material, but we plan to put forward exactly the reasons why we would ask the board to consider placing a public safety levy on the ballot this fall. But we didn't just start planning. We have been planning since shortly after the 2008 levy passed. We realized that the changes at the state level that reduced our revenue, the recession that reduced our property values, the fact that the county had passed along some of their costs with regard to policing to the township. All of those factors were known a number of years ago. We began working with staff in 2010 and 2011. We made significant changes. We reduced an assistant chief position and a firefighter position in our fire and rescue department. We renegotiated the contract with the sheriff's department to pass the cost of a K-9 officer over to the Hamilton County rather than the township paying for that. We also did things such as look at our inventory. We had a vehicle committee that was put together that reduced our vehicles, the number that we needed. We looked at everything that we possibly could. We have contacted the Forest Hill School District and asked them to pay a portion for the school resource officer, because we are the only township in Hamilton County that fully funds the school resource officer. Other townships split that cost with the school district. We have done what we can to reduce costs, while at the same time, we looked at how we could increase revenue. For example, some of our fees we had not increased since 2000, so we increased those fees slightly for various classes or permits. Perhaps the biggest thing that we did is that we negotiated with the Village of Newtown a contract which allows Anderson Township to provide fire and rescue services within the Village of Newtown to village residents. And Newtown pays us close to $600,000 per year for that service. In addition, we are operating out of their fire station. It is their facility, which was a wonderful move for us because we were looking at having to rebuild our Broadwell Road Fire Station, which was built to house 2 firefighters back in the 50s, I believe. And that would have been at least a $4.5 million expenditure to rebuild that station. We reduced redundancies. where Little Miami Joint Fire and Rescue, which used to cover Newtown and our Broadwell Road Station, made approximately 500 EMS and fire responses per year, where our Station 6 on Beachmont Avenue with 4 firefighters makes about 1,200 responses per year. So we reduced the redundancies, we increased our revenue, we eliminated potential future capital expenses. Shortly after we entered into that arrangement with Newtown, which started January 1st of this year, we were also able to lease our Broadwell Road Station to a local railroad company, and we're getting $1,200 a month revenue, plus they're paying the utility costs there. So we have done what we can, and I'm very proud of staff. They came up with ideas that I hadn't even thought of to reduce our costs, and we are continuing to do that, but I just want the board to know and the public to know this didn't start yesterday. We started in 2010 and are continuing our efforts.
I hope that everybody that listens, that hears, understands the angst that it is that we sometimes have to do things like this, but I can say that my hat's off to the staff for cost-cutting and for looking at ways to get by with less, and I really do. From the inside, as a taxpayer, take the trustee hat off for a second. I really appreciate the savings that you guys look for and find, so thank you.
I'd also add that one of the resolutions is for the county auditor to certify what 3.55 mils would generate in dollars, and the second one is what 3.65 mils would generate in dollars.
Do we need to do them separate?
Do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt a resolution declaring the necessity of levying an additional tax and requesting certification from the county auditor for public safety levy in the amount of 3.55 mils.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
And I would move to adopt a resolution declaring the necessity of levying an additional tax and requesting certification from the county auditor for public safety levy in the amount of 3.65 mils.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Safety,
you.
I will say this on behalf of the board, public safety is one thing we take very seriously. I mean, it's our core. I think it's really our core function. Law Director Margaret?
Good evening. In your package, you have a resolution before you which would authorize the amendment of a resolution passed by the board back in 1994 that created the township-wide TIF that we refer to as the 1994 TIF. The statute, the General Assembly has amended the TIF statute to allow certain townships, and you meet all the criteria for doing this, to extend the life of the exemption from taxation of improvements to properties in that TIF for up to 15 additional years. In order to do that, it was important and necessary that you give notice to the impacted school districts and to the Board of County Commissioners, which we addressed last month, and those notices were sent. We have not heard comment. In essence, we have acknowledgement of receipt of those notices, but no comment, which is really not unusual because your 1994 TIF, by agreement at that time, holds those school districts harmless. So they are really not losing any dollars one way or the other anyway. So what this would have the effect of doing is extend the life of that TIF, which would allow you to build some balances with TIF revenue, which would be committed to fund public infrastructure in the township. So that's what the resolution would accomplish.
Thank you. Motion?
I move that we authorize a resolution to, let's see. Start. I move that we, I don't even know how to say it. Adopt a resolution authorizing the amendment of resolution number 96-020 062804 as amended to provide for an extension of the number of years of exemption of improvements to property from taxation pursuant to Section 5709-73L of the revised code.
1994.
1990, where did it say that? 1994.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Please, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will mention, I know for people here, sometimes that you hear words like TIF and you don't really know what that, just simplistically, I will just say that it allows the township to keep some of the tax money and spend it here in the township rather than us sending it to Hamilton County and have them give it back, or a portion of it back to us. So I just want to let you know that benefits, I think TIFs are very important. You might hear some discussion about it in public, so just know I think that it's good for, we believe in them, and we think it's good for the township. So we'll spend that money here in Anderson. Okay?
First item under planning and zoning
Planning and
is a
zoning.
request to modify the employee handbook. This is in relation to the township's partnership with Hamilton County Public Health and the We Drive initiative. And for those of you in the audience, in 2015, the township partnered with the We Drive initiative. It is a program that encourages health and planning. So specifically, allowing or encouraging planning for healthy lifestyles. Some examples would include access to healthy foods like a farmer's market, access to parks and recreation, sidewalks, access to all modes of transportation. And one of those is also in relation to our handbook, the township handbook, as it relates to nursing mothers, specifically employees of the township. So we had a subcommittee of our Transportation Advisory Committee, Mr. Caruso and Mrs. Downs as well, worked with Suzanne Parker to develop language specific to the township that would designate a private room location within Anderson Center for nursing employees, as well as time allowance for this to take place. So before you is a recommended change for a nursing policy in the township handbook.
I'll make a motion to adopt the attached nursing policy into the Anderson Township Employee Handbook as recommended by the Transportation Advisory Committee, We Thrive Subcommittee, and to enable Anderson Township to comply with the Federal Affordable Care Act.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Tom, thanks for your help with We Thrive and TAC and the sidewalks.
You gonna stop? Keep going.
The second item on your agenda refers to, or pertains to the township steering team for our comprehensive plan update. Steering team was appointed earlier this year, and it is recommended that 2 additional persons, a park board member as well as a school board member, be appointed to that. Dominic Wolfer from the park board and Julie Bissinger from the school board.
It should be noted that both of those entities already have representatives on them. These are additional representatives. Yeah.
There are staff members from both organizations as well.
I move to appoint Julie Bissinger and Dominic Wolfer to the 2016 Anderson Township Comprehensive Plan Steering Team.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
And then last but not least, we do have the tall grass
Funny you mentioned it.
property. And there's a resolution before you determine existence of nuisance on land owned by Pamela Tixiera at 1701 8 Mile Road, and this is for tall grass.
Have a motion?
Yes, I move to adopt a resolution determining existence of nuisance on land owned by Pamela T. Texera, 1701 8 Mile Road, providing for notice and remediation.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes. Forgive the noise, it's not mine, so.
I think it could be mine.
Ice cream
Somebody has a really.
Regarding mishap of the zoning inspector they're abandoned, it could be a bank, it could be a mortgage company, a mortgage company of a mortgage company.
Right.
It's very difficult to find this one in particular, we have been unsuccessful about.
What Paul's saying is when properties go into receivership and they're being foreclosed upon, it's very difficult to find the maze of entities responsible. It is, I see your question, you're like that. It's a maze at times, and I salute the efforts they make, and I will say that it is very frustrating having our limited powers to do stuff on properties like this, so I salute our staff again. Is that it, Paul?
I mentioned thanks to Tom, but I also want to, she's not here, but thanks to Nancy Downs, too, for all of her.
Here's her.
Oh.
You just back.
New haircut.
New hairdo, that's
Nancy.
Okay, so I get a free pass for that. Thank you.
Nancy, I will tell you, I didn't even recognize you back there with all I can see is the top of your head, so looks good.
From Florida, too.
Well, it's nice.
Very necessary.
Very necessary. Sheriff's, it's hard to top, but Matt Guy, Lieutenant Matt Guy. Great.
Two brief items on the agenda. First one is very simple. It is a request for liquor license renewal. B2 Consulting, 8251 Beachfront Avenue. We've investigated physical location and we have no objections.
Where is this? 8251? What is it?
Up by Arthur's.
It's
That
by
strip center by
O'Neill's
Arthur's.
in that strip mall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a doing business as name on mine.
I was going to say, what business?
Well, yeah, what?
It is a restaurant, like kind of a First Watch, kind of, not First Watch, but kind of like a First Watch, kind of breakfast,
Pending restaurant.
lunch.
Oh,
pending
so it's
restaurant.
not here yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Which means they're grabbing up the one that already exists.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Got it.
Thank you for the explanation.
I move not to object to a liquor license request for V2 Consulting located at 8251 Beachmont Avenue.
Second?
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
And if it's who I think people will be very happy about this. I think.
He's
Maybe
full,
not.
he's full of thoughts tonight.
Second item I have is a resolution authorizing the sale of a 2007 Chevrolet Tahoe fully equipped. It's a police vehicle, got about 109,000 miles on it, so it has reached the end of its useful life for our fleet. We are selling it fully equipped because we're no longer buying Tahoes. They're too expensive. They're about $43,000 compared to the
Yeah, they are.
so we have no use for the cage and the light bar and everything else, so we are requesting a resolution to sell that to the Perry County Sheriff's Office, Perry County Board of Trustees, for the price of $9,600.
I move to authorize the sale of surplus equipment to the Board of County Commissioners of Perry County, Ohio pursuant to a contract authorized by Section 505-101 of the revised code.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes. And I'd like to add, that's just getting broken in my household at 109,000 miles. Still has,
These guys, you give them a car with horsepower that's not theirs, they drive it pretty hard.
drive them hard.
Perry
Public
County's
Works.
from my neck of the woods. That's
What's
where-
that?
Perry County, I know where that is,
Oh.
actually.
You can take it out there.
It's upper southeast Ohio. It's close to where I grew up.
Public Works, Richard Shelley.
Good evening. Just one quick comment, if I may, on the item that occurred earlier this evening. I greatly appreciate the support of this board and all the elected officials, Mr. Deeds included, for your support and for bringing me back, and we'll certainly have a lot of work to do, so we'll stay at it. I'd also like to mention that the management team I work with, and Vicki and Steve and Suzanne, are just some of the best people you'll ever deal with in the course of your professional career. You should all be so lucky.
Agreed.
With that, I just close that, and I just want to say thank you for all that. As I processed this over the last 30 years, I had no idea that I would be at a public meeting doing this with a robot that was sleeping with a nursing thing and a microbrew discussion. It is how far we've come in 30 years. None of those things were prevalent 30 years ago, hardly, and they certainly It certainly took me by surprise tonight.
Well, you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
We aim to please.
What I have is 3 items before the board tonight, and had I thought about it a little better, probably would have been in different order. But item A is authorization to make application for the Hamilton County Engineers 20% funds. That 20% fund is what it's been named for a long time. But just a brief history on that, there is a license plate tax that occurs. It's a $5 fee that occurs to all residents in Hamilton County. That fee then is put into a pot, if you will, and distributed amongst the different jurisdictions on a pro rata basis based upon their attendance, their residency of the fees that are collected. So what you have there, though, is our share of that in Anderson Township, and I believe that total was $54,000, $58,000, I'm sorry, $561. Typically, we let that marinate or season a year. We skip and go every other year so I can get a little more funding power. It's hard for me to make a lot of hay with 20,000, so we let that build a couple seasons and then we take our share off the table. So what you have is a motion for us to make application for that.
I move to authorize the application of the Hamilton County 20% Distribution Funds application to be used towards the 2016 Township Sidewalk Maintenance Program in the amount of $58,561, and the remaining money to be applied to the 2017 paving program.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
This will make us even then in
Yeah,
2016?
we'll be-
Good.
The second item I have before the board is the approval for the 2016 microsurface overlay project. Again, this is a tool we've been using for many, many years to help us extend our road life, if you will, and keep us in a category where we're, should I say, revered by many, because we have a lifespan of about 18 years on our life cycle for our pavement costs.
Is that right?
I had a lot of conversation tonight about the capital expenses of things.
25,000.
I would remind the board that the most expensive capital investment we have is our 120-plus miles of roadway. I know, I'm going to address that, Mr. Patterson.
Okay, I was shocked there for a second. Go ahead.
Short life if I have a contingency item for 25 million.
Yes.
Now I lost my train. The roadway cost of our capital improvement in our infrastructure is the most valuable thing that we have in the township, 120 miles of township roadway infrastructure, and it is by far the most expensive thing that we do. So at least, so there be no panic, that is not a $25 million contingency at the bottom. That is $250,000, and it should read a $25,000.
Thank you for setting me straight. Do I have a motion?
I move to authorize the township administrator to enter into a contract with Strasser Construction, Inc., utilizing state bid pricing for an amount not to exceed $250,000 with a 10% contingency of $25,000.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Thank you. And the last item I have is routine to us that has been here for many years, but not so to this board, and I apologize for not a little more description along the way. But in the last, since 2003, we've been having we call it the annual road survey, but it's a road inventory done where an expert comes out and he evaluates our condition of our pavement. Mr. Dirk knows this, one of his favorite things in life, pavement condition index.
PCI.
That's right, PCI. With that, then, he is able to ascertain for us an entire, he evaluates every road that we own, lays it out into a piece of software that tells us which category that we should be applying our funds. So it breaks it down into 3 separate categories, and it allows us to use this as a tool. It is not an overall guide, nor is it a strict adherence to the work. It's just kind of a tool that lets us do it. Without a doubt, this has allowed us over the years to save a lot of money and spend a lot of energy in the right direction. What this, for lack of a better terminology, this tells us where the holes are and allows us to put our finger right in the hole and not try to guess at where the holes are. So we appreciate the work that Dr. Kalush has done for us for many years And what you have before you is an authorization to have him do it one more.
I move to authorize the Township Administrator to enter into a contract with Highway Consulting Services to perform a complete township road inventory, including curbs, in an amount not to exceed $14,300, plus a 10% contingency, utilizing PO 24575.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes. Richard, thank you.
Thanks, Richard.
It's one of the reasons we did what we did tonight. Your knowledge and experience is invaluable. Fire and Rescue, Mark Ober. Thank you, Mark. Township Administrator, Vicki Earhart.
Again, first item we have for the board's consideration involves the Stormwater District. We are a member of the Hamilton County Stormwater District, and the township receives mandated stormwater compliance services to fulfill the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency regulations. Those services include public education and outreach, the location of and detection of illicit discharge and elimination of illicit discharge, development, review, and inspection services, and input as far as GIS mapping and development and maintenance of the stormwater system throughout the township. There is a motion before the board that would authorize the extension of this agreement through 2017. And through this agreement, the residents are charged directly for this service. It amounts to about $15 per each household.
Okay.
And there is a motion before you, and I would ask that in the first line of the motion, it should say authorized to execute instead of authorized to execute.
Shouldn't it?
Mr. Pappas and Mr. Shelley both serve on the Stormwater Committee as well.
Have a motion?
I move to authorize the Township Administrator, that the town be and is hereby authorized to execute on behalf of this board the Stormwater District level of service options and service fees for 2017 with the Hamilton County Stormwater District in substantially the form before this board with such changes thereto as shall not, in her judgment, after consultation with the law director, be detrimental to the township, such determination being evidenced by her execution of said agreement.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Thank you. The last two items arise from executive session discussion. The first is a motion which staff recommends the dismissal of a public employee.
I move to authorize the dismissal of a public employee effective May 19th, 2016.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item involves our law director, Ms. Coney. Ms. Coney has been law director for the township since 2008. She's served us very well. And she has been with the firm of Squire Patton Boggs. She has recently changed firms, and she is now with the firm of Lockwood. And there is a resolution before you that would authorize her continuance as our law director with this new firm.
I move to appoint Margaret Comey, Locklord, LLP, as law director for a term ending December 31st, 2016, and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Yes. Yeah, oh, yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
This is a limited home rule resolution.
Yes.
By
Yes.
declaring an emergency. We will post this.
It's not a real emergency. It's just don't want to alarm anybody out
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Just don't go running for the exits. It's a technicality. With that, before I close the meeting, I'd like to say, hey, guys, young robot guys, I really appreciate you staying the whole meeting. That was really cool. A lot of times people just don't, and I know it's heavy, and you don't want to carry it out here, make a lot of noise, but thanks for staying. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And come on June 21st. Let's have your thoughts on what you want in Anderson Township.
Robots everywhere.
More
Maybe
and
up
more
here.
robots.
Robots up here. Okay, with that, I'd like to remind everybody that our next regular monthly board meeting is June 16th, 2016, 6 p.m. Citizens should call 688-8400 to confirm. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes, thank you for coming.